research areas in Kayachikitsa, which will be delivered by the Professor B.S. Prasad sir, followed by the research areas in Manasaroga, which will be delivered by Dr. C V Jayadevan, Principal of Kottakkal. So it's my privilege and honor to introduce my own teacher and mentor and the today's speaker, Dr. B. Budru Srinivas Prasad sir. Sir has accomplished Ayurveda career reflects 30 years of experience in various fields of Ayurveda, like clinical practice with super specialization in male infertility, Ayurveda research, teaching, medicine manufacturing and administration. Delivered by Sir has been a former member of Steering Committee on Ayush for Planning Commission Government of India, 12th 5-year plan between 2012 to 17. Sir was also a member Scientific Advisory Committee, Regional Medical Research Center, ICMR Belagavi. Sir was a CCM member for the period of 2011 to 2014. Sir was a member of Board of Management, KL University, Belagavi. And he was also a member of committee, RAJIV Bangalore and Goa University for the PhD committee. And sir was also a reviewer for the journals, Journal of Ayurveda and Integrative Medicine, AYU International Journal. And sir is a member of Ayush Committee, National Education Policy 2017 and 2019. Sir was also a member, Ayush Education Committee, Ministry of Ayush, New Delhi, and Ayush Grid and WHO Working Group developing benchmarks for practice of Ayurveda and Panchakarma, WHO workshop, which was held in 2018. Sir was also a member, Scientific Advisory Committee, Gujarat Ayurveda University, Jamnagar, and Chairman, Scientific Advisory Group, Clinical Research, CCRAS, New Delhi, a recipient of Best Scientist Award in the year 2018 by KL University. Sir was also an expert member, NAC Manual Preparation 2019. Sir has established Ayurtech Incubation Center at Belagavi. Sir was also a member, Task Force, Interdisciplinary Ayush Research and Development for SARS-CoV-2, Ministry of Ayush, Government of India, April 2020. Sir was involved in some of the most prestigious research, like Principal Investigator for Identification of Genomic Correlates of Prakriti in healthy individuals from Dravidian population of North Karnataka, a collaborative project by CSIR, IGIB, Trisutra, New Delhi, which was completed. Sir was also a principal investigator for a randomized control assessor blind trial comparing efficacy of physiotherapy, Janubasti, and integrated physiotherapy and Janubasti approach in patients of osteoarthritis of knee, which was an institutional project, which was also completed. And Sir was also a principal investigator for evaluation of add-on efficacy and safety of an Ayurvedic formulation in the management of dengue fever and prevention of its complications, a double-blind clinical study sponsored by CCRAS New Delhi, which was an ongoing project. And Sir was also a principal investigator for evaluation of analgesic and anti-inflammatory activities of Lumbago zeylanica root paste in arthritis patients, sponsored by ICMR New Delhi, which is also an ongoing project. Sir was a guide for the 6 PhD theses and also published more than 70 articles and delivered more than 180 scientific deliberations and visited countries like United States of America, Japan, and Indonesia. With this brief introduction, may I request Professor B.S. Srinivas Prasad sir for his presentation on research areas on Kayachikitsa. It's over to you, sir.
A very good afternoon to all of you. Nataraj, I am audible clearly?
Yes, sir. Clearly audible,
yes,
sir.
Very good. Okay. At the outset, let me compliment and congratulate the entire team led by Dr. Prasanna Rao and all his team members for their magnanimous planning and execution of the very innovative idea of the orienting entire state postgraduate scholars on various important topics. This is very innovative idea and well planned, well executed. It is going on very well. I can see the number of delegations as per the interest student has shown. And Dr. Prasanna Rao happened to be my mentor, or I always say that one is a guru for me, in initiative guru for me, who taught me the administration, the art of administration, because of whose experience of with whom I could able to develop this institution very well. It is very great honor for me also to be part of this event. Once again, I compliment the entire team for coming out with a very innovative idea. Let me share my slides. I'll go for the, because time is very less and the Kayachikitsa is a big topic. Is the slides appeared?
Yes, sir. Slides are visible, sir.
Now there is a full screen.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Please
okay,
proceed.
very good. So I'll be talking on the first areas of research in Kayachikitsa. So as a Kayachikitsa, the specialty that is it is the only specialty among all strong Ayurvedas, which is the widely being practiced and an independent branch. I can say that one. It is need not have the allopathy support or etc. It can independently being practiced. It is the widest branch in Ayurveda, and since long time being practiced is the credit of the Kayachikitsa. It includes a wide range of clinical conditions, starting from the common cold up to cancerous. So many conditions, a wide spectrum of conditions are being covered under Kayachikitsa. And also it complements other specialties. Maybe you take the Shalya or Prasuti or like any department you take, it requires case intervention for their other treatments, etc., to manage or fitness to give fitness, etc. Likewise, so this is the importance of Kayachikitsa. And I'll be focusing my topic. I structured my topic in this angle. One is I'm talking about knowledge gaps in Kayachikitsa, then why the gaps arise, right? And I'll be focusing on thirst areas in Kayachikitsa, thirst areas in Rasanvajikarana. So Manasaroga topic separately is being dealt, so I'm not touching that one. And technology development, again only for concern to Kayachikitsa. Then clinical analysis and of research data, how we need to focus on. The outcome based and translational research, how to be conducted, and then emerging areas in Kayachikitsa. So this is all my heading the topics. Each one I'm going to deal. So coming to knowledge gaps in Kayachikitsa. So one is inability to diagnose, or we are not in a position to exactly diagnose several subtypes or clinical conditions. Even for example, the most popular Amvata, you say that one. So everywhere again we read the Pravruta Amvata, Jirnavastha, Amavastha, whatever things are there. But when it comes to clinical practice and diagnose, we don't go for step by Avastha wise diagnosis or subtypes, maybe Vata type, Pitta type, Kapha type. If for example you take Jwara, is the biggest branch in Ayurveda and poorly being understood and poorly being practiced also. Likewise, so subtypes are even clinical conditions. We are not in a position to exactly diagnose and that one. And then assess avastha and even predominance also. And many times that one we diagnose as an overall disease and start treatment only. We don't diagnose which predominance is there. Even take an example of the Grudrasi also. We did already Vataja and Vata Kapha Grudrasi also there, but we don't diagnose that and we don't go for the treatment in that angle. So there is a lack now in that one also. And Avasthanusara Chikitsa. So which stage is there? For example, Amvata only. Any patient, any doctor comes again, they start again Deepana Pachana. If they may have gone to the 10 Ayurveda doctors, everybody start with Deepana Pachana again. So even 11th doctor also will start Deepana Pachana again there. Likewise, it goes on. The inability to select appropriate drugs. So we have the common drugs only. We don't have specific drugs for specific condition. We also in lacking that also. And then inability to predict outcome of treatment. Is a 40% I can reduce this one. I will take 3 months duration or 1 month duration. This is what my result I'm going to give you. Likewise, we are not in a position to give either duration of treatment or outcome of treatment also. So these are some of the issues are there. And continuing to that one, lack of exact application of clinical investigation reports. Many times we investigate, we take the reports for the prognostic point of view. We don't have the drug selection on the basis of the investigation reports are there. Even take a LFT. Liver function tests are there. We have direct bilirubin, indirect bilirubin, SGOT, SGPT, many things are there. So we don't have specificity how we can select a drugs or treatment modality on the basis of the reports which are ups and downs are there. But we take them as a improvement point of view. The prognostic point of view only we take that one. And lack of specific application of Ayurveda drugs to microorganisms. Even the infections are there. So we don't have common. As we have modern science, they have gram negative, gram positive. Likewise, we have very specific antibiotics. They have sensitivity and specific. The culture sensitivity is there. They can select a drug appropriate antibiotic. But when it comes to our Jura, for example, we have wide range of Juras are there. Though we read Vata Pitta Jura, Vata Kapha Jura, Pitta Jura is there. But when it comes to treatment, Tribhuvanakirti for all Juras will give. Or something else will give. So that is what our practices are there. That means there is a big gap between what we study, what we understand, and what we practice also. And emergency medicine is a big problem in Ayurveda. Even a common problem, common conditions also. Everyone they take the allopathy drugs also, and we don't have our own emergency medicines which we may manage. There is a major lack now which we need to address on. The disparity between classroom teaching and clinical practice, as I will give a lot of examples I given. So what we teach in the classroom, we will not practice again same thing in the when you clinical practice. Teaching is something different. When you go to wards, we have Tokroga, Vataroga. Likewise, we have broad diagnosis and going on giving treatments only that way. And lack of standard treatment guidelines and evidence-based medicine. This is a major lack now. Because of all the above reasons, we are not having standard treatment guidelines and evidence-based medicine. These are the almost gaps which we need to address. Unless until we identify the gaps, we can't progress in our research point of view also. So now why the gaps has come? One is lack of outcome-based research or degree awarding research. After all, whatever the MD and PhD is the major research activities going on in Ayurveda sector, and all these are degree awarding research only. They never think of outcome. What is the outcome? Outcome will be degree awarding. I want to get PG, I want to get my PhD. So there is no outcome-based thinking or translational research thinking is not there in that one. So we don't have the translational research in our Ayurveda. And not consider Ayurveda parameters like doshic predominance, avastha, etc. Whenever we design, almost all, we take the laboratory parameter and we diagnose every condition. Everyone know that even Amvata, for example, there are cases where the RH factor may be negative, not RH factor, RH factor may be rheumatoid factor may be negative, but even the symptoms are positive only. Sometimes symptoms not there, but factor may be positive. So we have a lot of confusion. We know it still again we depend on the only those investigations only for all those ones. So we are not considering our doshic predominance or avasthas in the inclusion criteria, so that we have categorizing all together. We don't have the specific research outcomes. And the rubber stamp prescription, I say that in clinical practice. So whenever a student in the ward or OPD, he see a case, Tokroga, maybe psoriasis comes there. So whatever the teacher give prescription, he copies the same thing. And going on give same prescription only, irrespective of the state, whatever things are there. So which of some cases clicks by chance, and they will claim the credit, and many cases will not click and they will not be continue the treatment also. But he will claim 1 or 2 cases which he successes, and 8 cases gone without improvement, he don't claim that one. So we have the rubber stamp treatment practice in the practice, not by the clinical assessment point of view. So which is a very, very big gap. And non-consideration of dosha as group of gunas. Whenever we talk, we say vata aggravated, pitta aggravated, kapha aggravated, etc. But we never understand that a dosha is a group of gunas. Ruksha, lagu, sita, kharas, etc. gunas are there. So we better to always go to the guna level talking, then we get clarity in selection of the drugs rather than talking about only doshas are there. Because dosha is a combination of gunas are there, group of gunas are there. So always better to go to guna level talking, then we get a specificity automatically comes there. That is again lacking in the research. And non-usage of Ayurveda technology in clinical practice. For example, whenever in the wards, for example, let's take an example of the psoriasis itself. So when a case of psoriasis is there, when maybe some interns or PGs are examining the case, if we ask them what is the dosha involved in that or not, what is the pathology, this is kapha immediately. The why on what basis? This is, so it is an autoimmune disease, the immune system is involved there, so kapha is a dosha only. So if I ask it, what is the color there? Black color. Now what is the black color in Ayurveda? The Krishna Varna, which is dosha, then this is vata. So then by using the Ayurveda terminology, we directly go to the doshic environment, automatically comes there. So always we need to encourage our people to use Ayurvedic terminology in the research also, as well as everywhere in the practices also. These are few of the gaps. And then lack of appropriate objective or advanced assessment parameters. The latest one, which is in the field. So what is the parameter, objective parameter especially? Taking all clinical only, subjective parameters will not have the publication value or translational value there. So we need to go for advanced assessment parameters also. I'll give one example I'll give here. For example, now 20 years back, when I was the teacher, the professor in the other department of the Hassan itself, SGM Hassan, the Suhas, who is now the main instrumental in this event, the organizing. Suhas was my intern in that time. So when he wanted to present one paper at some conference, he wanted to present on the Grudrasi, Udvartana with Vatakapaja Grudrasi. So he brought some data all. Then I told it. So the only simple of subjective data is of no value. So let us have some objective. That time we don't have it is only. But what I made is I asked him to weigh the Udvartana Churna powder before after treatment. Then we don't have anywhere weighing machine also, but in the pharmacy they have digital weighing machine. He went there, he weighed it before treatment and after treatment of the same quantity. Then we got nearly around 50 grams of powder, around 5 grams of the nearly 5 grams difference there, where the fat is being something is being absorbed into the Udvartana Churna. Then the paper was presented somewhere, it was well appreciated. So likewise, we need to select appropriate objective parameters also, where we can have the good results can be given, convincing results can be given there. The irrational change of varied prescriptions on the name of the individualized medicine. And we have Basti, for example. We take this kashaya, and then this kalka, you modify, going on modifying, and we never bother about whether he is really giving the result or not. If you don't modify, the result is going to come or not. Likewise, so these also giving a lot of changes, variations are there, where we can't able to summarize the data and give the evidence-based medicine. So we need to minimize our variations also. This is one of the important area. Lack of interdepartmental coordinations. Okay, this is now Kayachikitsa people wanted to some important area is there. Maybe some medicine you want. Unless until Bhaishkalpana people prepare that one, cannot implement it. Or sometimes Bhaishkalpana people prepare a medicine, but Kayachikitsa people will not test it that one. So we need to have interdepartmental coordination. Then only we can bring out translational research there. For example, even now also Kshara Sutra, for example, Shilya people still hold the Kshara Sutra in their devotees. It is a very, very meaningless where Kshara Sutra to be prepared by Bhaishkalpana people. It is their authority, their area, domain, and then Shilya people also will take that one. And those it not go. It will not grow there. They won't concentrate. They don't have quality control because Shilya people, how much they do it, they can't do it. It's not their domain. It had to be given to the Bhaishkalpana. Then they can do it more concentration, less concentration. Qualities, what qualities can we bring it out to their domain? But we have everything in our hands. We don't want to give. So likewise, we need to bring interdepartmental coordination in the research. Then only we can bring it out. A translational research is there. The research bias and lack of critical analysis of research data. I'll give some examples later. Then publishing in predatory journals. Night we want to send the article. Tomorrow morning we want to have publication. We are ready to pay money also. This is losing our credibility. And very good data we are giving in the predatory journals, and we are losing the credits are there. So these are the why the gaps has arisen. And then coming in general, what are the first areas I want to give it here because time is running. We the broadly standard questionnaires based approach to diagnose Ayurvedic disease conditions or avasthas or subtypes or doshic predominance. So likewise, as I told all these areas, what we can do is some student can work on the standard questionnaire based approach to diagnose condition, or just like in rheumatoid arthritis, they have major criteria, minor criteria. Here two are major, one here you can diagnose rheumatoid. Likewise, we need to bring it out some questionnaire, some scoring types in from Ayurveda also, which is to be uniformly practiced across the country. Not only one thesis submitted, which nobody knows it. So we need to have a rigorous testing, sensitivity, specificity, reliability, all those ones. Then only be able to bring it out. So there is one of the major research area. The disease management protocols, algorithms, as I told, subtypes, and then avasthas. So we need to develop some algorithm has to develop it so that we can arrive to the exact condition of the avastha or doshic predominance, and then we can select appropriate drugs there. Otherwise, we have Mahavidyalaya diagnosis, the Kottakkal diagnosis, like Tamaka Swasa, every Swasa is Tamaka Swasa only. So this is all going to happen because of lack of algorithms. We need to develop algorithms. The developing questionnaire scales which are to be tested rigorously for their sensitivity, specificity, reliability. Then only it is going practicable across the country there. And validating Chikitsa Sutras, for example, Pratimargam Jaharanam Raktapitti Visarjitam. So that likewise, the typical sutras are there which need to be taken out, and then we need to test for it. Now we have a lot of collaborations can happen there. We have a good scope to have high-end research can be taken now. And then global assessment parameters. This is very, very important here because Ayurveda drugs work in several pathways. For example, you take the Jwara or the diabetes you take, we always take with the blood sugar levels, and we never bother about other parameters in the body. So even Guruji may be working on the immune system there, not directly working on the glucose metabolism. It may be neutralizing or modifying the antibodies, or it may be removing the antibodies for the pancreatic islet cells may be there. Likewise, or it may help in different ways. So we need to target parameters for all these factors there, not only blood glucose levels. Then only we are going to justify the Ayurvedic drugs there. Otherwise, taking only the blood glucose, we are not justifying our Ayurvedic drugs there. So that's what I'm saying. Global assessment parameters, or they have the drug. What are all the ways it is going to work it out? We assess all those parameters and can test it. Then we say the drug is going to, along with the blood sugar levels, it is going to supervise the peripheral neuritis or the kidney disorders or the diabetic retinopathy. Likewise, we are able to bring it out the results there. Now coming to specific areas. Now Jora, for example, I had told already neglect area. The studies are all aimed to compare paracetamol. Paracetamol is only trying to reduce the temperature, not the disease. Whereas our drugs are disease modifying. They are not simply to take bring down the temperature. They are underlying pathology. So we never do the trials with underlying pathology point of view. We always compare the paracetamol reduced within 15 minutes, whereas our drug failed to reduce the temperature by within 15 minutes. And further, dose pattern, muhur has been always indicated, but we always give TAD or 2BD, likewise we'll give it. So again, this is the very important area where Jora is again a huge area. Now tomorrow's days, it is going to be important area. We need to think in that angle and the same point of view. And then role of various Siddha Jalas. In the Jora chapter, we see a lot of water preparations has been mentioned. Take water, boil, different ratios boiling, and then take iron balls, heat it and dip in the water. Take stones, dip in the water. Likewise, there are several types have been mentioned there. Now we need to study those ones. What is their background, why it is going to helpful, where it is going to helpful. Then tomorrow we have huge area. Because now water again is bottled water only. So when we come out this one, people definitely opt the different medicated waters in the fevers also. We have no tetra packs, different packs are there. We can easily bring marketized also. So we have to go for the, it is very important Siddha Jalas in the, and then integrative protocols, hyperpyrexia, and again Ayurveda drugs, along with hyperpyrexia, disease modification also, whereas paracetamol not that one. Likewise, we can do the integrative protocols. You can bring down the temperature by paracetamol, and we can disease modification by our drugs. So integrative protocol can be think of. Similar way, the COVID now, COVID is a very emerging area now. And preventive protocols in that one, now entire India, almost everyone has took one of the preventive medicines there. So we don't want to give preventive medicine and test it now. What my intention is, already those who are taken the preventive medicines, and then how many people has took it, what is their outcome there, likewise we can have some studies there. So how long they took it, what medicine they took it now, what is the outcome of that one. So they get a good survey study, so where we can get the right information. Presentations. Another one there, now we can see COVID have different type of presentations. Some people get the burning eyes, some people are getting the fever, some are getting myalgia, some are getting diarrhea, likewise. And also their values are available now. Now we can use all values and clinical presentation and we can categorize them into the Vata Jora, Pitta Jora, Kapha Joras, etc. So that tomorrow drug selection will be very appropriate. Now Pitta Jora, we can go to the SAMSHODHANA or something else. The Vata Kapha Jora, we have to go Tripunakirti. Tripunakirti will not work Pitta Jora. Likewise, we need to categorize this without spending much money, taking the whole data itself, we will categorize them into the condition. Tomorrow it will be much helpful. Similarly, post-COVID complications is going to be a bigger area. So where some people can think in the post-COVID areas, complications also. So Swasa, as I told, except Tamaka Swasa, we have not touched other types. Any Swasa, diagnose Tamaka Swasa, and we can go and treating. Now, when you develop algorithm, and definitely, and that led to the diagnosis of other conditions also. And because of the advanced technology, maybe CT, etc., you'll be able to diagnose all other conditions now. So that we can think of on that one. And then status asthmaticus, integrative management. Asthma, we know that we are very good in that one. But whenever status asthmaticus comes, we don't have management, we have to refer that one. So when you think of integrative practice, definitely give the lifestyle support, oxygen with that, and then giving our own medicines, and then we can develop integrative protocol can be developed. Similarly, Dhupana. Though Dhupa has several studies has been done, but the problem is there, the contamination, maybe the coal or the coal, they interfere, the smoke, and that is very, very irritant. So we need to, the pure smoke of the medicine has to be generated, and we need to be able to assess what is the dose to be given, how long to be given. And then we develop technology, just like aerosols or the inhalers are there, then we can develop it. The failure is because of the mixing of the coal and the cow dung to generate smoke, etc. And huge quantity of smoke is being sent to the and that is causing irritation. People are unable to tolerate now. Now is the pure smoke to be generated and then metered how much to be given, how long to be given, how to repeat it. That we have to work it out, and then we can bring the technology for that one. So this is a very, very important area, huge area. Okay. And then drug-resistant tuberculosis. This is again very, very important area. Now it is coming back with the resistance, and people are suffering like anything there. All over the system also, they are also looking for alternatives. Now we can think of our drugs, adding our drugs, which can is simple 3-2 also. It will have bio-enhancing property. So along with the anti-tubercular drugs, add 3-2 or people only or Vasa. Like we can have some drugs there so that we can have work on the drug-resistant tuberculosis. Is very important area. Then additionally, anti-tubercular drug treatment will cause a lot of hepato damage and also gastritis. So these are the two other areas. The patients can be taken as usual, but we can protect their liver or gastritis by our Ayurvedic management. So likewise, an integrated protocol can be designed in the tuberculosis area. Adhisara, Grahani, Pravahika, GERD disorders. The microbiome studies, they are the next to the coming areas now. We need to focus on microbiome studies there. So that is going to change like anything there. And then ORS in Siddha Jala. This is again very innovative idea. I think Dr. Supriya was there, I think, or today morning talk was there. This was the idea when I was working in the Nair hospital at Mumbai, and Supriya was my colleague that time. So there the study was going on with Musta, Siddha Jala and ORS. But that was not successful, maybe because of the low concentration of the Musta. That time I even my comment, that increase the concentration of the Musta there. So it's a very good idea. Maybe Musta, Ajamoda, the Kutaja, etc. can be taken up. With that, water can be prepared, and then ORS can be given in that water. So it will be very, very innovative idea. So especially the people are Kayachikitsa people also Sara. We can think of this is the very good area, that one. Siddha ORS in Siddha. Then Vatavyadi. So Vatavyadi, always we focus on the nervous system only, or neuromuscular exit nervous system. But now the signaling paths break through this one pathways. They are going to the end answers for it. We need to focus on signaling pathways now. And then for many Vatavyadis, we can do manage, or we can even explain signaling pathways or pain pathways. And then for example, stroke, the protocol based management. Dr. Perwaje, excellent management is being given there. We tried to have one study, Dr. Perwaje, one of the student has recorded few of the cases, but because of lack of enough number of cases, the study could not able to conclude very well. But my intention is that properly recorded, studied, and then properly publish it, and it had to spread across the country in all areas now. So there is a one. Likewise, the protocols are there that have to be brought into the as evidence-based medicine, brought it out. That is very important area. Then integrative management with the physiotherapy. So we need to add physiotherapy. When you read Ayurveda, we have Bandhana, Veshtana. Likewise, we have several terms are there. That time, physiotherapy was well in practice by the other names. We forgotten all those ones. We have neglected it. But physiotherapy adopted and developed it very well then. So we need to again embrace physiotherapy, and we have to have integrative with the Panchakarma or our rehabilitation techniques. We have to develop it, and this is very important area. Then maybe water conditions, except a few. There are many water conditions which we don't we read, but we don't diagnose that condition. So this you need to explore further again. Avarna, again a puzzling concept. Everybody talks about Avarna, but we don't diagnose appropriately. But here now, signaling pathways, the binding proteins or ligands, they are the latest ones which we can think of, and they can give the answer. For example, binding proteins, the testosterone is there, sex hormone binding globulin is there. When it is bind, the testosterone will not be functional there. Avarna concept now. Likewise, the ligands are there. So unless until ligand is there, it don't work as the signaling agent there. When you remove the ligands, or it is going to block that one. So this Avarna concept can be well explained by taking these proteins or ligands there. This is the way Vatavyadi can be, a new dimension can be given and explored it. From endocrinology. So not only hormones, but we need to think of other factors like, for example, you take T3, T4, TSH, we estimate only. So we need to go beyond that one. Antibodies, we have to test it like this. And specific leukins, we have to test it. And the genetic expression studies, we know now genetic expression can be studied. Maybe the expression, maybe the what is probes available now. So those things can be used it for the genetic expression studies there. So then we can have new dimensions can be given to the hormonal disorders there. Similarly, diabetes, as I already mentioned, not only sugar levels, but we have to see other pathological parameters as Ayurveda drugs are working out. And then lifestyle modifications, the epigenetic studies. So several things are there. Many disorders, lifestyle modifications that can be taken up, and then we can have the genetic studies, epigenetic studies, which can modify the genetic expression. Those be studied under lifestyle modifications. Coming to metabolic disorders, Sthaulya versus Medasara and BMI. This is very puzzling. And I was also having the clarity on this topic. When I observe the Udvartana treatments in the patients going on, some patient comes and tells very good weight reduction. Maybe 1 week Udvartana goes 3 to 5 kilos reduction is there, and people come and report not even half kilo or 1 kilo, maximum 1 kilo, again come up within a short time. So then I started looking what the problem is there with that one. So then when you understand the Sara concept, then it is very clear. When you say Sara is the healthy status, physiological status, whereas Thaulya is the pathological status. So Vedasara, Thaulya, both looks like same maybe, growth Sharira, except everything is a bigger one. So then I understood Vedasara is a physiological, as Thaulya is a pathological. How to differentiate them? This is a big issue. Again, we have the always BMI is the criteria for us. When BMI is more than normal, we categorize overweight. Now you tell me the answer, the wrestlers are there. What is the BMI? Are they obese? Are they overweight? Likewise, Mamsa Sara, Majja Sara, Sukra Sara, Asti Sara, these people are likely to have high BMI. We cannot categorize. So they are healthy people, but because of our wrong scale, we are labeling everyone as a obese or Sthaulya or overweight, and we are trying to reduce their weight because they don't reduce their weight. Cannot be reduced. Again, they come back with a normal weight. It is a normal weight. They are physiological. So Ayurveda gives very clearly Sthaulya and Vedasara. Vedasara is physiological, Sthaulya is pathological. How to differentiate? Now we had one PhD study going on in our college having the inflammatory markers, negative. What is that one? Liponectin, etc. With all the inflammatory markers, interleukins, we have taken up. The study is going on now. How to differentiate? Similarly, AMA. Again, AMA is the one. Every disease we have AMA involvement is there. And always we think up to GAT level only. But at tissue level, we need to have immunomodulatory studies we need to think of. It's a lot of interleukins. Now, even the COVID itself, IL-6 is the most important now. IL-1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 12, 13, 14. So many interleukins has been identified now. So these are all going to come under the as a parameters for us when you think of AMA. At different levels are there. So then molecular inflammatory markers. So interleukins are the very, very important area here under AMA. Now coming to clinical pharmacology, again neglected area, very important area and poorly attended. And various dosage patterns, example, muhur, for example, this is not being tested appropriately. Wherever hik, swasa, jora, etc., very repeat they told muhur to be given as a dosage, but we never give it. But we study again this one. So likewise, dosage posology has to be studied, very important area. A specific anupana, sahapana, again that also neglected. A form of medicine. Now if you take the individual, maybe a person having klingnatam, the brahsharira, klingnatam, more fluidity, then uchurna may be ideal form for them. Whereas the druksha person is there, maybe gruta, taila, then avaleha may be the best suitable form for them. So this also we never discriminate. We are giving same medicine to everyone, whomsoever it is required. The form of medicine also plays important role in having more absorption, more affinity there. That again, one of the important area. Then application of Dashavida Pariksha. For example, now a person of 100 kilos, a person of 40 kilos, our dose will be same only as adult dose. And whereas we need that one, Dashavida Pariksha, when we say we are looking to the Prakriti, Sarasamana, all we look after, we have individual medicine there. But where we practice that one, Dashavida Pariksha. Because the problem has come here, we are not in a position to give Dashavida Pariksha or Authra Bala Pariksha in one single digit. It's like a vast score. we have to give the VAS score or the Bala score. His Bala is 6, his Bala is 8, his Bala is 7, likewise. Then we can have to apply that one. Because of lack of that scaling system, we could not able to practice it. For example, even I observed it during Snehapana or during Samsachana Krama is there. The patients, some people crave for the food. Within 2 hours, they say, sir, I'm hungry, I'm getting headache, I'm getting shivering, tremors I'm getting, I want food again. And generally, interns tells, only evening only will give again, only 2 or twice it will be given. And there are some people who even a glass is be for them. So that made me to think of what is the problem there. Then I understood Pramana and then Agni, we are not considered here. There are a big frame and Tikshna Agni. So they require more quantity and repeatedly. Whereas small frame Mandagni, they may not require more quantity, even less quantity will be sufficient for them. So then that made me to give one topic for PhD, where we have Samshita Krama dose fixation on the basis of this Pramana and Agni. We are working out. Likewise, Dashvita Pariksha is also one of the important area in the clinical pharmacology. Allopathy system used on the body weight, but we don't have only body weight. We have Agni concept also, and then Sara concept also. All the 10 practices has been mentioned there. So we need to consider them. And then disease prevention. The pre-diabetes. Now, because of advanced technology investigations, we are in a position to diagnose many conditions before pre-stage itself. Now, pre-diabetes, we are able to diagnose. Then similarly, cardiac risk factors, we can able to assess that one. So antiplatelet aggregations, anti-atherosclerotic properties, hypertension. So these are the some of the important areas where we can think of the preventive systems also, and maybe different aspects can be taken up, lifestyle itself, or medication, or maybe periodical shodhana, whatever it may be. So it can be designed studies and can be taken up for the research point of view. And application of Desha concept. This also. So Desha we study the exam point of view, we never apply it. But now we can have the survey studies, disease distribution pattern at different deshas. So we can do that one. And then variations of clinical presentations. Same disease, when you go to coastal area, you have one presentation. When you go to other area, you have different presentations. And then treatment response at different area. Again, here also I'll give one example. When I was at Hassan itself, Dr. Kiran Gowda was my colleague that time. So then we are trying to treat the Amavata conditions. We're not getting good response that time. Then he told, he studied PG the Ballari, and then he came to Hassan. Hassan is Andhra Pradesh, Ballari is Bangladesh. So he knows both the areas. He told at Ballari we used to get very good result, and Hassan we're not getting good. He scanned for the almost 2-3 years of the whole data, and then he came to me told, sir, we have only 2% results in Hassan, whereas Ballari we have very good results are there. So that variations, the Desha concept. So if you understand, then definitely we know how is going to interfere that one. Then what can be done there? Or as Ayurveda mentioned, Charak also given, we can create Kutrima Vatavarana, means air conditioned systems we can create so that we can get response also. So that was a thing that time. We could not able to continue that one. Likewise, these such areas will be important areas. Then public perception. This is again poorly explored or neglected area completely. Until we know what public is thinking about us, we cannot progress it. So we need to have extensive survey studies are required. What exactly public is thinking about us, what type of diabetic drugs they are using. Now we say the constipation. Maybe in the TVs, newspapers, etc., the Kayam Chura, something else there, everybody is taking that one. So now likewise diabetic drugs also, which is moving in the non-prescription drugs are there. People are continuing taking that one. So we need to identify what are being in the practices, what are there. What is the perception about Ayurveda? And some people think it is not a systems or a science at all. Something, yes, like a tidbits type, they may give some tips only, likewise. So we need to have perception is very important. So we can have a survey studies extensive and without no expenses there, we can do survey studies to understand the public perception. Now coming to Rasayana. So here Rasayana, I divide Ujjaskara and Apunarbhava. So Ujjaskara Chikitsa. Here, healthy to maintain and improve. So here, in that one, Acharasana, the lifestyle modification, or structured fasting, etc. So different way. Fasting is one example I am giving here. Otherwise, lifestyle modifications in different ways we can bring it out as under Acharasana. And then selected rasayana as per occupational problems. Mentally exertional, some major rasayanas to be given. Physically exertional, periodical and Sveda. Likewise, or Matravasti. Likewise, so this very good practice. We cannot be every day. We can ask them to have monthly one Abhyanga you take, once in fortnight you take for one Abhyanga and Matravasti. Likewise, we can advise these people the good lifestyle so they can maintain good health. A long studies can be planned it one. And periodical Shodhana. So people go for seasonal Shodhana. And then integrate protocol with yoga and physiotherapy. So yoga and physiotherapy had to club together. And then we can have the morning exercise can be done with yoga and physiotherapy together. We can club it. And then Ardhabala Vyayama versus duration exercise. Now the modern science will give fixed duration exercise. This is 5 kilometers you walk in, or 40 minutes you work this one. Likewise, Ayurveda says Ardhabala. Till you get sweating on the forehead, you do exercise. So now this can be a good topic. So one group can be given Ardhabala Vyayama. One group will be given fixed duration. We can see the other changes are there. So it can be a good topic. Then coming to Apunarbhava Chikitsa, the Rasayana itself. So these specific Rasayanas. So which the recurrent health problems which are going to be recurrence. So there even bronchial asthma, respiratory allergy, likewise psoriasis also. They have the recurrence, seasonal, other aggravating factors. You can think of disease specific rasayanas for them. There can be a study again to prevent recurrence. Then Vayasthapana Gana. Telomere length, methylation, senescence. These are the latest techniques being done on the stem cells and other cellular structures also. They'll be giving explanation for our Vayasthapana. Can our drugs can prevent aging process? So we have done one study, going on study now with Yenupa University and Bangalore. One of the PG student is still working there, and on the stem cell proliferation, we able to have the Vayasthapana drugs there, Vayasthapana drugs, and able to see that it is having very high proliferation of stem cells there. So we have going on. So now telomere length and then methylation, senescence, they are very good techniques to explain our Vayasthapana. It can be taken up on the stem cells. And then cell proliferation and differentiation. So proliferation, number of cells to increase, and one cell to other cell. Rakta to Mamsa to Mesa, like so one cell to another cell, how differentiation can happen in. So very important studies, these are all. Then organ transplantation is a new area. Those who are undergoing kidney transplantation or other transplantations, the problem is with the rejection. So now we can think of, given as immunomodulators, we can enhance the organ acceptance more. This is one new area we can, people who are having the facility, they can think of in that new area. And then vaccine adjuvant. And I'm happy to say now the Swarna Bindu, which is our innovation, kale innovation, which has been widespread. I can say in the history of Ayurveda, Swarna Bindu is the one innovation or initiation which has been widely accepted by the public as well as Ayurvedic community. But we, so far, even till today, we are unable to develop evidence that it definitely improves the immunity. All we have improper studies, non-scientifically not able to sustain the studies are there, their claims are there, but not having very good the evidences are, including my own institution where we invented it, we could not able to develop a evidence so far even today. Again, vaccine adjuvants, even for COVID vaccine. So we, Government of India thinking of giving the maybe some duration along with that one or before Ashwagandha. Maybe other. Likewise, we can think of vaccine adjuvants, not only for Swarna Bindu, this is one part, even for other vaccines also, or COVID vaccine, we can think of vaccine adjuvants that can be studied. And then first areas of research in Vajikarana. So infertility management, widely practicing is again on base Reto Pariksha based clinical trials. So we need to have Reto Pariksha, not only the count and motility is of no use. We need to have Reto Pariksha Bhava, and then on the basis of that, we have to go for clinical trials. And then integrative approach in that one. Now IVF is going to increase now. The day by day, people are opting it, and IVF also, the success rate is improving slowly. So we can think of super sperm or producing healthy sperms that facilitate IVF and also having Prajasthapana. The main problem comes with the implantation. They may be able to fertile, but implantation is the main problem there. So now we can think of our Prajasthapana Dravyas to have a good implantation to improve the success rate of IVF. And also AMH is another major problem we are facing now, anti-Mullerian hormone deficiency. Again, there also Ayurveda drugs are Very good. So this can be taken up now. And then management of sexual dysfunctions. Development and standardization of questionnaire algorithms for the various clibias are there. We know that manasika clibia or psychological problem is the major one, but still we going on giving our medicines. We never include counseling group in that one. So algorithms, questionnaires is important to differentiate and diagnose. And then premature ejaculation. And then Prakriti. The Prakriti, when you read Pitta Prakriti, Alpa Shukra Vaya Apatya, we read out. So either Prakriti wise survey studies can be taken up, or even premature ejaculation in the Pitta Prakriti is predominance, etc. Likewise, a survey studies also can be taken up. And the role of Sattva in counseling. This is very important there. So those who are our Sattva, Madhyam Pravar Sattva, and Madhyam Sattva. The counseling is important, very important role. Some can be taken up as a topic now. Then SARA versus semen and andrological parameters, maybe testosterone and other LH, FSH, etc. In the Shukla Sara Purushas, other Sara Purushas, how it is there. That again, survey type studies can be taken up now. And then designer babies. This is again very, very important area. Still, we are not focused on this area, but designer babies is tomorrow's the futuristic area. Designer babies you need to think of. Now, coming to genetic studies. The moment we think of genetics, we think it is incurable, should not touch it at all. But I'll give some examples where we can do it. So broadly, we divide into inherited, congenital, acquired. So what we can do is genetic expression studies in case of inherited and congenital. We can modify the expression. We don't change the genetic composition, but we can modify the expression in case of inherited and congenital to some extent, not all extent. And then some corrections in the acquired category. Because acquired category is later on, not inherited. So we can able to correct it. Some example I give here. Now you see here the study, the predisposed subjects of breast cancer. So we are given Virechana followed by Narsimha. We can see here decrease of upregulated genes and then reversal of downregulated gene to the upregulation. So we have modified the genetic expression to the reverse, total reversal. Decrease of the upregulated and reversal of the downregulated to the upregulation by having Virechana and Narsimha. This is a study with the Karnataka University Dharwad. We have collaboration. And one more study you see here, Virechana karma on mRNA expression in dyslipidemic patients. So this study with the IGIB, CSIR New Delhi. So you see 41 genes have downregulated and 24 genes shown upregulation. So we could be able to modify by giving our panchakarmas or some rasayanas, the expression can be modified. This is very clear from here. And one more example. Now you see here is a case of infertility. There is a deletion. The Y chromosome is a deletion. Deletion of Y chromosome at the position of 12 and this way. Now after giving our panchakarma treatment, you can see this one is normal. The couple conceived it, the baby delivered. Now more than 1 year over, the baby is very healthy. It's going on. So such we did not afford and leave it, but we had to have judgment and we can try it. We can take a studies on such areas also. Coming to retrospective studies, very, very interesting this one. The hospital data, for example, OPD, IPD data, huge data is available. Many colleges have their backup data will be there in that one. So this is unbiased data, because when you think of our studies, we bias it. We know we want to give our drug high value, so we definitely bias it. So here the hospital data is unbiased data. So when we analyze it, we will be able to know our strengths, where we stand, what is our weakness, where we are very good, this one all. So again, it will facilitate to develop standard treatment guidelines also. So this also will happen now. So we can take the data, maybe 1,000 patients of the data we can take, and then we can develop what are standard guidelines, which is a treatment given a very good result there. So that can lead into the standard treatment guidelines. Then we can go for EBM, evidence-based medicine also. And also we can note the ADs, though we have a think that ADs will not be there, but when you mindly observe it, we have several ADs comes there in the practice also. So that can be noted down and we can overcome those areas there. So survey retrospective studies without spending money. So we can do the very good meaningful studies can be done in the retrospective studies. From teaching technology, again, this is interesting area. So development of software apps for Patya selection of this one, or assessment of Agni, Kosta, Deha Bala, Sattva Bala, Nidra, etc. Anything can be done there. They are very useful also. And then Ayur games. So our consent to our system, there's no games at all. We can give a games where we can encourage young children, people to play the games and get the knowledge also. So keep the Ayurvedic concepts, that one, developing games is again very interesting area. And then therapy technology. Technology, though, is very wide, but I am restricting myself to the only Kayachikitsa here. The nebulization, Ardhumapana, Lepa. Lepa also, just we paint it, not Lepa. The thickness is not able to maintain. So we need to develop technology to have uniform thickness, etc. So again, with maintaining height, etc. Likewise, again, a lot of scope for the technology development in Kayachikitsa. So other areas, huge is there, even Panchakarma, because there is a separate topic, Panchakarma, I'm not touching that one. They'll be dealing that one. Teaching technology, how to teach Kayachikitsa, for example, how to take clinics, how to, there is a problem-based learning, then edutainment, different teaching technologies we can employ, and we can have two groups, this one group regular teaching, and then what is the difference between which person, online teaching, offline teaching, how they are effective. So likewise, how to assess, how to examine, because we teach 1 year and we examine for 5 minutes. How are justifiable? So we need to develop some assessment methodologies. They all can be a good topics for the research also. And then critical analysis of research data. As I'm telling, when we get the data, again, unless until we do a critical analysis, we can't justify the data. I'll be giving some examples. One is, as per Prakriti, etc. variables, we need to categorize and study again, and subtypes of clinical condition, maybe Vataja condition, Pitta condition, then how the result has come, we have to study it. I'll give some example here. You see here, this is the total cholesterol of the who undergone Vamana Karma of 30 patients, this one. Now you see here, cholesterol before treatment 202.63, after treatment 181. The difference is 21.4. The percentage is 10.6% is the difference. 30 patients together, we have done the statistics. Now I'll show. So I have separated them who undergone Pravara Shuddhi, Madhyama Shuddhi, Avara Shuddhi. Now you see these, the Pravara Shuddhi, the 216 is the before treatment and 173 is the after treatment. So 43 is the difference. 20% is the difference of person. And there is one patient who got reverse. His levels was increased there. About only 9 is the increase. His level is 9 is the increase, only one patient. And now see the Madhyama Shuddhi. There are 11 patients are there. The average difference is 25. And percentage is 12%, 13% is the difference now. There are 4 patients who shown reverse of the results, and the average is 14.7. And go to the third one, Avara Shuddhi. There is 11 is the average, 5.3% is the percentage of improvement, and 4 subjects, 31 is the average. Now see how much meaningful the data analysis is there. Now it will give the idea that one Shuddhi is most important. The Pravara Shuddhi people get very good result, and then the reversal will be very minimum in that one. Even the reversal is there, very minimum change happen there. Likewise, we'll give the data analysis. Otherwise, we are going to lose the entire observations by clubbing all together and giving the analysis. So one more analysis, I'll show this one. Similar way. Now you see this is same. It is a 21 and 10% is the difference. You see the another one. Now what I did is I categorized the patients all together within whose levels are within normal already and who levels are abnormal, because some patients levels will be only normal only. And only some patients levels will be abnormal. So 13 patients levels were already normal. So their change, you see, difference is 2.9. That is, only 2% is the difference we got it. And whereas whose abnormal values are there, there we see 40 is the difference and 17% is the difference now. And surprisingly, it is maintained within normal limits. And here they brought to the normal limits. So now you see Ayurveda treatments will regulate, modify, what's a holistic approach is there. It won't disturb the normal values, but it brings down the abnormal values only. So how much meaningful information we get when you analyze the data appropriately. So that is the very important information. We need to analyze the data very, very appropriate way. Otherwise, we lose the results there. Now coming to outcome-based or translational research. So in the translation, in the sense, either you have establishing a treatment protocol or an algorithm or bring out a product. So these are likewise, it can be, we can call a translational research, you can say that one. Now what we do is we have to have network pharmacology or the in silico technology is there now. And then, for example, now we have Mutra drugs are there. So all Mutra drugs, where are we going to work it out? We have practiced that all Mutra drugs to be clubbed together and make one Kashaya and going and practicing, which is not appropriate because they are meant for different purposes there. So by network pharmacology, we'll be able to identify which drug is likely to act on which pathology, which pathway, etc. And then we can go for studies there. So that will give the very good result. So we need to have like Dravyaguna and Kayachikitsa together. They have to have collaboration and then they have to do it that one. In a similar way, interdepartmental collaboration, as I already told it, we need to have collaboration there. So when Kayachikitsa people wanted, for example, we have developed the surgical tulle, Ayurvedic surgical tulle, we developed it. So we told to the biological people to develop tulle, then next we developed the clinical trial there. Like then we can bring it out. Because of this arrangement, we could be able to bring out one solution alternate for the Savalon, which we are using now as Ayurvedic solution for wound cleaning solution. And also we have brought some the few of the instrument also. We could be able to have file 3 patents. We could be able to file 3 patents in that one. We are also doing a lot of things in that one. And also another major one is the guides. Now many happens that one, this year they take Vatavyadi, next year they take some other Jwara, next year they take Swasa Kasa, etc. Instead of that one, if you take Swasa Kasa, they have to be 10 years or 50 years, the lifeline, they have Swasa Kasa only. Any student wanted to do Swasa Kasa, he has to do under his guidance, then he can do the longitudinal research in that one. So fragment work, but longitudinal research, so that he can bring out the outcome of that one. He can bring it out a protocol, he can bring out the algorithm, the complete information, he can bring it out. Likewise, each guide has to identify their area. They have to focus in the same area only. Then only this translation research can be possible there. So now coming to emerging areas. So here, emergency medicine, as I told, is a very, very important area. We need to think of, I'm always thinking of Ayurvedic ICU. You give the emergency medicine, that means life-saving technology and Ayurvedic medicine. Likewise, we have to bring it up. Then integrative medicine. This is again very, very important area. I'll take some maybe separate studies there on that one. Then resistant infections conditions, genetic expression studies, microbiome studies, signaling pathways, proteomics and metabolomics, and endocrinology, cardiology, urology. Urology also poorly explored, cardiology also. So these are the emerging areas. They have next 1 decade, 2 decades, they have huge role this is going to play. And similarly, concerned to Rasayanvajikarna, we have regenerative medicine, epigenetics, that means modifying genetic expression. We can modify the expression of the genes, and as eugenics or designer babies. We have what qualities we want to have. So that way, designer babies. And then stem cell research, female sexual dysfunction. With males is erectile dysfunction, etc. studied very well. But female sexual dysfunction, poorly explored, is going to be very important area. Now we need to explore that area. In organ transplantation, very newer area. IVF, Prajastapana and Prashasta Shukra. These are the emerging areas. Next decade, 2 decades, you have a huge role in these areas. Now coming integrative medicine, as I'm telling. So life support and Ayurveda medication. So we need to have explore that one. And physiotherapy, we have to embrace physiotherapy. And then diabetic complications. Maybe insulin and antibiotic can be given, and other management you can take Ayurveda, like with dialysis and Ayurvedic management, again integrated approach. IV fluids, Ayurvedic drugs in case of this SARA, likewise antibiotics and disease modifying with the Ayurvedic in the Ayurvedic drugs in this various infections, etc. And then other systems. For example, homeopathy. We know that in wards or the allergies, asthma, homeopathy is very good. People understand. Now, can we club with our Panchakarma, then give homeopathy medicine? Likewise, we have 2 protocols going on in our college with our homeopathy college collaboration. Likewise, we can think of other systems also with the Ayush systems itself, not only with allopathy, we can do with other Ayush systems also. We can think of integrated medicine. So these are the few of things. Let me summarize. So identify knowledge gaps, and then not degree awarding, but translational research is required. Starting from the diagnostic criteria up to assessment scales, several questionnaires, algorithms, apps are required to develop the standardized diagnosis, etc. Assessment parameters that justifies complete spectrum of pharmacological actions of the drugs, not only one aspect there. We need to think of and then consider appropriate research designs. And then critically analyze research data on all variables, and then focus on emerging areas is what my message. Thank you all for hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Detailed presentation regarding the different thirst areas of Kayachikitsa and its allied branches. And you rightly highlighted the use of interdisciplinary research, need of it in the Ayurvedic research. There are many questions are posted by the delegates. Due to the time constraint, I will take one or two questions. One of the questions is it right to compare the efficacy of Ayurvedic drug with an allopathic drug when we take it as a standard drug?
That what I clarified that one. So what aspect we are looking after, that is most important there. That what only paracetamol if taken only antipyretic property, but whereas you take Guduchi and along with the antipyretic property, it also have immunomodulatory, some other properties are there. So we cannot justify Ayurvedic drug with taking only one parameter of allopathic drug. So we need to take Ayurvedic drug whole as a whole and have multiple parameters.
Okay, there is one more question. How about generating the Ayurvedic subjective objective parameters?
Repeat.
How to generate the Ayurvedic objective parameters?
No, need not separately generate it now. Now several things are there. We need to correlate now. For example, now we have developed the radio pariksha. We have standardized it. Likewise, we need to take the studies. As I am telling you now for COVID, take all the subjects, categorize them into Vata, Pitta, Kapha there, and then their biochemical parameters correlate. And then once you establish it, then say D-dimer is high, we can say Pitta Jwara, or if ferritin is low, we can say this Jwara. Likewise, we are able to bring it out, our parameters. For that, we need to have the data analysis and then correlated studies. We have to have the cross correlation studies. Correlation studies has to be conducted.
Sir, can you highlight some of the standard methodology to standardize the AMA, concept of AMA?
No, AMA, I told AMA is a very, very big area, and we are thinking always in the G8 level only. We never go to that tissue level. The micro, as I told, interleukins, immunomodulators and interleukins. The molecular, the biomarkers are there. So those we have to think of, especially interleukins are there. At each tissue, they have interleukins are different are there, identified. Now, which tissue we are thinking of, then identify already it is well described with the modern science. So those interleukins you can take, then we can study that one. So that gives the molecular path, it will use it. Then definitely whether our drug is working at that level of the tissue or not. That way we can say the Amapachana at the tissue level happening or not. In that way we can do it. And there are some immune complexes already identified. So those immune complexes, known complexes we can take, and whether these immune complexes are decreasing in the titer or not. Likewise, we can think of, and that way we can do the different AMA at different levels. We can estimate and work it out.
So is the gene correction is possible with autistic children's?
That what gene connection, the two aspects. One is I told epigenetics and eugenics. Both I mentioned that one. Eugenics is the one where we want to have the new or the transformed genes itself. That is one. And second one is that is before conception. We modify and we get it. And after conception, what we do is epigenetics. We are modifying the only expression. For example, Pumsvana karma. So it is going to modify the expression only. The basic genetic constitution is X and Y chromosomes same, whatever things are there. But we are going to modify the expression. What is the expression they are giving? So that we can modify it. That is called epigenetics are there. So definitely we can modify the expression, which example I have shown that one also. Whereas the familial breast cancer, they have gene, but the gene is modified, where expression is modified, that one. Definitely you can modify the expression.
Thank you, sir. There are many more questions. Due to the time constraint, we cannot take them now. Now I'll request Dr. Lakshmi Prasad Jadhav, HOD Department of Kayachikitsa, SDM College of Ayurveda, for the conclusive remarks. Dr. Jadhav, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Nataraj. Most respected speaker, Dr. Srinivas Prasad, sir. Respected principal, sir. Delegates, the faculty members, and also the organizers. So I was thinking in the beginning, sir, Srinivas Prasad, sir, 1 hour will not be enough. So it could have extended for 1 more hour. And all the listeners, I think, are very much happy. And then they want more. Probably with the time restriction, we will not be able to extend the session. And it was like the list what I made. And you spoke about those things. Of course, they are all exhaustive things what you talked about, and then the needed view what was required by the PGs and then the delegates, even the faculty. I also should accept that they were very exhaustive and then very much the points that were helpful in developing and building up that intuition about the views that should develop with the PG studies. And you spoke about the present condition about the corona and then the infective conditions and also the prevalency of that corona and then continuing and then the conditions related to it, how we can manage and then what approach it can be through our side. And then GIT related conditions and some Vatavadis, endocrinology, and metabolic conditions and clinical pharmacology and the view about the view that should be developed about the Desha approach about it. Rasayana and Vajikarana, of course, your favorite topics, Vajikarana again. And then the highlight of all those topics was about the genetic studies. So all were impressed about it, as we can make out, and then many questions were posted about the genetic study also. It's very very interesting, sir. Like and also the retrospective studies, and then the technology development, and then teaching techniques. What you talked about. So they're all some very interesting and then innovative things what we can adopt, and then the students can also think of. And you talked about the level of cholesterol coming down after that is Vamana. And in our hospital again, we tried some 2 years before one diabetes case uncontrolled with some oral medicine and then insulin, was on insulin. So with one course of Vamana, that lady showed so much of improvement that the dependency on oral medicine, allopathy medicine came down. So this must have been done by some other physicians also. But again, that's one observation which tallies with your observation with the levels of cholesterol coming down with the one Shodhana karma. It's Vamana. And sir, I want to add, like we always go with some conditions like respiratory conditions like bronchial asthma, allergic bronchitis, like you told. And then with the skin conditions, it's psoriasis, eczema, and then Shvitra. And then with Vata Vaidis related with the musculoskeletal system, it can be Sandhigata Vata, osteoarthritis of the knee joint, rheumatoid arthritis, sciatica, radiculopathy is what we have to talk about. And then with the nervous system, especially with the cardiovascular accidents, CVA, and then some Parkinson's conditions, what we consider. And there are some areas which we have not really touched about. I think some vascular conditions we can try about. Vata Rakta is one such condition which we have been talking about more, but again less explored, I feel. And some cardiac conditions like ischemic heart disease and also vascular conditions related to it, probably hypertension. We talk about that hypertension condition, but again, we have a little more scope, or we have to try a little more about these two conditions. I think ischemic heart disease and then hypertension, I feel. And sir also talked about that rasayana, and I also thought about like we can look at it that rasayana with some different other views like naimitika rasayana, of course, with diseases in our view, and also strengthening the immune system. Sir started with that point only, and then geriatric care and also quality of improving the quality of life and then prolonging the life. About. And at the end, sir was talking about, of course, also. So the data which is, so this is not a new point again, what I'm talking about. The data that is given by the previous batches can be continued and then can be used as one base and then continued, that study can be continued. And one more conditions are like hemolytic conditions, tallying with Rakta Pitta. Sir may also agree with that one. If we have to provide some supportive medical management with the modern management, so that's one field what we can think about with sufficient support and then infrastructure. Probably these are all different conditions, nephrology, with the chronic kidney diseases. So these are some points what we can add, and then we can take those studies forward, I think. And of course, it was your deliberation was one very interesting one, and then that held our attention throughout all the whole of that session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your deliberation.
Thank you
It
very
was
much.
very
Thank you very much.
like enlightening and then enjoying. I should say.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, organizers, for giving me the opportunity, and thank you, principal, for allowing me to talk for 2 minutes.
So we shall move on to the next session, which will be on the research areas related to the Manasaroga and Manasavidnana. And the lecture will be delivered by Dr. C V Jayadevan. Sir is a principal, VPSV Ayurveda College, Kottakkal, Kerala. Sir has got a vast experience of 30 years of teaching experience at Vaidyaratnam PS Warrior Ayurveda College, Kottakkal, and postgraduate teacher and guided Manasaroga dissertations, more than 25 in number. And he was a chairman, Clinical Research Institute for Yoga and Ayurveda, Kottakkal. And he was the conveyor at Council, Kottakkal Ayurveda School of Excellence. He was the implementing officer, Ayush Wellness Center, Vaidyaratnam PS Warrior, Ayurveda College, Kottakkal. And he was a member, Managing Committee, Center for Integrated Management of Children with Differential Abilities, Kottakkal. He was the convener, Project Administrative Committee, Public Health Initiative, Government of India, New Delhi. He was the principal investigator in multicentric study of an Ayurvedic coded drug in diabetes mellitus by Central Council for Research in Ayurveda and Siddha. He was a member expert group on validation and applicability testing of Ayurveda diagnostic methods, which was done by the CCRS, New Delhi. He was a co-investigator for Ayurveda project on cancer and mucositis in Malabar Cancer Center, Talsheri, Kerala. He was a member research team, clinical research project on hypertension, Kerala University of Health Sciences. And he was the winner of 17th UGC CEC Award for the best script of Sneha Sweda episode and audiovisual teaching aid in the subject of Panchakarma. Ratna Award in 2010 from the Kerala Ayurveda Academy Limited, Kerala. So with this brief introduction, may I invite Dr. C V Jayadevan sir for his narration on the research areas related to the Manoroga. Sir, or unmute ಮಾಡಿ sir. Sir, Jayadevan sir unmute ಮಾಡಿ. ಆಯ್ತಾ ಸರ್? ಸರ್ ಆಯ್ತಾ?
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now you can proceed, sir.
Yes. Thank you. So thank you for the nice introduction. Respected Prasanna Rao sir and all the members of the team Samshodhana and all the delegates who are participating in this program. First of all, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to present few thoughts on Manasaroga and research areas on Mahavidyalaya and Manasaroga. I have been listening some of the sessions, including Dr. S Prasad sir, and yesterday morning I attended few sessions. So I think all the teachers, all the lectures covered almost all the research areas which actually first year PG scholars should focus on. It's widely discussed. And it is the second day and it's the last session. I think I will restrict myself to the some of the areas in Manasaroga, mainly in Mahavidyalaya and Manasaroga, based on our experience in our department, because our department of Kayachikitsa, under the department of Kayachikitsa, a separate department was started in 2000 on Manasaroga, and we have been conducting various types of research. And I think I'll tell some of the examples. Exactly as some research was can be undertaken. So I'll share the slides. Just a minute, there is some problem. Excuse me, there is some problem in sharing the slides.
Okay.
Where-
Yes, sir. We can see your slides, sir.
Is it okay now?
Yes, sir. Slides are visible. Just put it into the slideshow mode, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'll just go through the slides. Some of the research studies conducted in our college. And as many of the scholars attending this program must be knowing about the Government Ayurveda Research Institute of Mental Diseases in Kottakkal, which is very adjacent to the college. And our scholars are also posted there. And institute was started for the postgraduate students teaching purpose, only for the teaching purpose. The government, it's a purely government hospital, and it was established for starting the PG course in the college. So we conduct the studies in college and the mental hospital. When we say about research areas in this particular subject, I think all the scholars must keep in mind that we have two areas, one in Manasaroga Vigyan and another in Mano Vigyan. Because psychiatry, both psychiatry and psychology are covered in this subject. So it's a broad area. We can conduct some studies in any area coming under the purview of these two topics. Like any other institute, we started with some clinical efficacy studies, single drug. We are still conducting in 2017 and 2019 also. We have undertaken some studies on single drugs. But I should tell the scholars there are many different types of research methods. There are different types of tools, and we must concentrate on such types of areas of research, because I find that in most of the institute we concentrate only on safety and efficacy studies. If there are some 5 scholars or 6 scholars, most of them, or maybe exceptionally 1 or 2, may take some different topics. Otherwise, generally we have a tendency to stick on to the safety and efficacy studies. You select a clinical condition, you select a drug, and you see the efficacy. That's all. So we also started with that same, but slowly we changed. That I'll show you the evolution, how we switched on to other studies, and I'll also tell you some examples of typical some different type of studies what we have conducted, from which a scholar will be able to understand then which are the areas they can undertake. So I don't want to elaborate on theoretically some different areas. Hypothetically, I don't want to say something very different topics, emerging topics in the whole world, in area where we have no experience. So this presentation is only based on our experience. And in clinical efficacy, we tried some ashwagandha and vaja in the Unmada in 2004. Then we had similar studies in insomnia in 2017. Then in 2009, one of our scholars studied Manduka Bandi in developmental language disorder. Initially, we were selecting only some like Unmada, Vasmar, and so very limited areas. Then by 2019, we slowly started some developmental language disorder and such scholastic disorders. Because school-going children are facing different many problems. So we started studying, but still we will continue with some Manduka Bandi and single drugs only. And in a very interesting study in male sexual dysfunction, we tried Moringa. And these are and such many studies based on single drugs we tried. Then later on, we started trying some compound drugs. Jyotishmati and Jadamanji were tried in moderate depression, and it was assessed by, it was compared against SSRI compound antidepressant drugs. And in the slides, I have tried to include some of the observations also, but there is no time to elaborate on that because time is very limited. And this Adinashaka Churna is a very popular combination in Kottakkal. We practice this is a Vaja, Aparajita and Ashwagandha Churna in 1:2:2 proportion in the powder form. So this was tried in many perimenopausal depressive disorders. So that was also a different study, but we slowly started the combinations. Some of them were established, some were new combinations were tried. And in obsessive compulsive disorder, we tried Ashwagandha Kushta Vaja combination. This was also it was in practice. And then we tried some established formulations like Panchagavya Grida. Panchagavya Grida, I should tell that the Gridas are used in Manoga by different physicians in different manner. We were not able to differentiate between this Panchagavya Grida and similar Brahmi Grida, exactly where to use and in which condition we have to use these Gridas. So slowly we started that. Now we have come to a stage where we can specifically say that which Grida is useful in which condition. So in 2010 we started with Panchagavya Grida, and Mahavidyalaya Grida was tried in 2012 by one of our scholars. It was an open clinical trial in organic sleep disorder. Then Ashtamangala Grida in mental retardation by one Dr. Divya Vijayan in 2011. So these were all established medications, but clinical trials was not conducted, and we had no data. And through these studies, everyone know in the Ayurvedic practice, everyone know about Brahmi Grida. Everyone know Panchagavya Grida. Everyone know Ashtamangala Grida. So different types of Grida. So, but we had no data. But through these studies, we generated data and different conditions, including mental retardation. And different type of comparative studies were conducted, comparing the plain Grida. We compared in Arjun Mada. It was administered in the form and also in the form of Nasya we tried. And there were other combinations, including Dubana we tried in depressive disorders, even along with Shangapushpi Churna internally. So these are all different types of combinations we tried. And another important study was effect of Virejana in Paithiga Unmada. We integrated some Panchakarma also. It was a comparative study. Virejana with Avibhati Churna was also given, and its Nehabana was given in the same patient. So these are all different type of studies. And another important area was ADHD. We had conducted different studies in attention deficit ADHD area, and different comparative clinical study in 3 different groups, in Kushmanta Grida internally and Nasya and other modalities. So this was also all these methods, all these medicines, as now it is established in the postgraduate studies, where the tools were used in modern tools were used, and assessment was also done as per the modern tools. But we always concentrated Ayurvedic part also. In all these works, we had a very important Ayurvedic part also as theoretical, and the symptomatology was combined, and a clear-cut observation was also developed. And another important area was tool development. I think some of the scholars should concentrate on the tool development, because in modern medicine, well, we have clear-cut tools for diagnosis, and also for assessment we have tools, and also scales also like DSM-4, ICD-10. But in Ayurveda, and not only in Manasaroga, in all the areas, for example, in Panchakarma, we have no specific tools for assessing the Samyak Snigdha Lakshana, Samyak Virikta Lakshana. So likewise, we needed tools to exactly to assess, especially in case of Manasaroga. The problem is most of the things are subjective. Headache is a subjective phenomenon, sleeplessness again, and patients have different types of symptoms. Most are their own feelings, what they understand, what they feel. So it is a subjective one, and we have to, in research, we have to convert all those subjective things to clear-cut parameters. So we need tools. So we tried some tool development process. This was a very interesting study by Dr. Parvati. Now she is the chief of the mental hospital. It was a development of an assessment tool for Sattubala. This was a very interesting study. It was a cross-sectional analytical study. And this was compared astrologically also. Maybe some of the scholars may be wondering that whether we can undertake such studies and compare it to the horoscope, and whether Sattubala can be compared with that. And Indian astrology is a very interesting area. Of course, only scholars who are very much interested in the astrology and both Ayurveda and astrology can undertake such study. And luckily, Dr. Parvati was such a scholar who was interested in that. So Sattubala was assessed, and it was a Herculean task to compare these concepts, Ayurvedic concepts, with astrology. I just present these are some of the examples so that a scholar may get some clue to design their own studies. It's a questionnaire development for assessing the status of ojas in Manasaroga. Ojas were never studied in those days. And we started a study on ojas and in Manasaroga. And it was again, it was a cross-sectional analytical study. I specifically say cross-sectional analytical study because a scholar should think of different study designs. So that is why I'm insisting on this. And we know that ojas and manas are connected. Bhavas are the express, everything is expressed through manas. But we have never established the relation between ojas and manas through a study. So it was a cross-sectional, it was conducted as a cross-sectional study. A questionnaire was developed, and that is also a very good study design, I should say, so that it will be based on some Ayurvedic concepts, and it will be exploring more and more about the Ayurvedic concepts, rather going to the some modern concepts. It is basically our problem is that we don't try to explore the Ayurvedic concepts. S Prasad ji was telling about ama. Such concepts should be explored. We have students are generally attached to some modern terms. There is a tendency to undertake such terms, but what basically we require is to thoroughly go through our own text and the terms like ojas, and that should be explored. And whenever I say my Guruji was Dr. Gurdeep Singh was my Guruji. I worked under him during my post-graduation in 87 to 90. So whenever I say different areas, he will say to our scholars, to the department, that you people are not interested in Ayurveda, so you are thinking about so many other things. So let us try to explore the fundamental principles of Ayurveda, including in Manasaroga. So this was another area of protocol developments. It is another interesting work, one done by Dr. Rajesh under my own guideship. It was an effectiveness of a parental education program in the lifestyle. This is a very different one because there were no previous model. We tried to educate the parents of the children of autistic spectrum, suffering from autistic spectrum disorders, and there were no previous models. To teach parents, we had no idea what to teach them. So we started thinking. Then we had we discussed a lot with the experts, and we produced a module, and we had a training program for that. We teachers training program. Then we educated parents of autistic children, and they implemented those techniques, including the ahar, vihar, and everything, Ayurvedic concepts in their children. And we assessed the change what is happening in the parents and the children. So this was a very different study. You can just read out those things. It was an open clinical trial and assessed the efficacy of the Ayurvedic education program in improving the status of the parents having children with autistic disorders. and statistical significance and a mild association between the stress of the parents were assessed, and the significant changes the domains of parents of quality of life. That is very important. Now, quality of life is a very important thing, including in all the even in arthritis, even in the cardiovascular disorders, everywhere in any disease you get a quality of life questionnaire. So we have to see whether your assessment, your treatment has reflected in the improving the quality of life of a parent or a patient. So this was very typical work by evolving a new educational program for parents and assessing the effect of the tool, and also in parents and the children. So this was a very different study. This I have just quoting this study so that some of the PG scholars may start working in such areas. This is another area. It's a treatment package in speech and language delay in mild MR. We have conducted different studies in mental retardation also. This particular study was a comparative clinical trial, Saraswati Churna internally and Shiroleba, etc. So that was again, we integrated this in behavior therapy also. That is also very important, I think. There are different types of modern techniques now available, different types of therapies, including behavioral therapy. We should all try such things. You can integrate with Ayurvedic therapy, and you can try. That is also a good model, I think. So some of the students who are listening this may undertake such studies also. There's another treatment package in scholastic backwardness, because initially we were conducting only on some single drugs and compounds, and later on we found that it is very difficult to treat in some of the conditions with a single drug. So we integrated many things, including yoga, and in this particular case we tried some yogasana and Sushma Vyayama, and also some Translational exercises. And this was tried in a large scale. We have tried in a scholastic backwardness. We went to schools, we had some different groups, age groups, and we conducted different classes, and it was an open clinical trial, and Ashtajurna and Kribiknavadi was also internally was given, because we thought that there should be some medications also internally. Only some yoga exercise or Translational cannot solve the scholastic backwardness. So this was a package, a total package. Treatment package was scholastic backwardness. This was a very interesting study. It was an efficacy of an Ayurvedic treatment package, including all the other modalities, including yogasana and Translational concentration exercises. And of course, whenever we treat the children, gut is also very important. So that is why we administered Ashtajurna and Kribiknavadi also for 7 days. So this was a total package. In package that we have some limitations for assessment. Because we cannot surely say that which component was really effective. So there are some statistical method to rule out such issues. To some solutions, up to some extent there is some solutions statistically, but still when you use a combination of procedures, it is difficult. Sometimes you are giving an asya, you are giving some internal medication, sometimes some yoga. When you integrate many things, sometimes it's very difficult to assess, but you can only say that the overall treatment package as a whole was effective. So that is the limitation of such designs, but still it is good trying such designs, I must say. This is another interesting study in protocol in management of positive symptoms of schizophrenia. I don't want to elaborate on that. There is no time to elaborate on this. This is Sattva Jayachikittsa. That is another area in Ayurveda which we can student can they really concentrate. This is a newly developed Sattva therapy we tried in moderate depression, and that was in cancer patients, because the cancer is a very important area, but we generally don't as students of Manasaroga, or even the physicians of belong to our category, never approach a cancer patient, and even for especially for research also. And see, the depression is as a problem. There are two types of depressions. I must say in cancer, the depression causes cancer sometimes as a factor. It's an important factor in depression. But another important area is after diagnosis, patients suddenly go to depression, especially young patients. We in this particular study, we had selected young patients, but they were suddenly depressed. It is very natural, and no one tried to address that area. And it is not just giving some advice that everything is okay and educate something about cancer is not sufficient. You really need a protocol. You need a Satyavajaya therapy, a real protocol to handle a cancer patient. It is not treating that. It is not a question of treating the cancer, but it is only a handling the depression, moderate depression of the patient who are suffering cancer. So this is another interesting area. I think we should undertake some clinical studies, some interventions in such areas where generally Ayurvedic people are not generally encouraged to undertake some studies. But luckily we had enough patients. We in our hospital, Mahavidyalaya head office, we have a cancer wing. For so many years, hundreds of patients are coming there. So our scholar associated with that unit, and we could interact with so many patients, especially youngsters, and it was really encouraging results. Was there? It is Satyavajaya therapy it was done as a Satyavajaya therapy itself, and purely on Ayurvedic parameters. So that was very interesting. I have no much time to elaborate on that. Other few, I'll conclude by giving some information of some other studies. Some textual studies. It was an exploratory study. See, the exploratory study is not at all a bad design. We always think about clinical studies only and safety and efficacy. This particular study was conducted by Dr. Tushara Joy. This was about a Brahmatakalpam, a text which was totally unexplored. It was an ancient text. Text means the old text means it is nothing but it's a record of practical tips. It was a practically earlier. It was not like thinking of some theory, elaborating on theory and some finding out some drugs. But some of our texts were developed based on some experiences in those days. So Brahmatakalpam is a text which was available unexplored. It was in traditional Malayalam language, and it was giving sort of practical points, and which can be later on which can be taken to the day-to-day practice even nowadays. So this was an exploratory study. Is a good study design. So this was on Brahmatakalpam, a traditional text in Malayalam. This is another important cross-sectional study we have conducted on Manasamitra. This was a very interesting study, pharmacological evaluation of Manasamitra Vadaga. And we had conducted of a knowledge, attitude, and practice of this Manasamitra among the Ayurvedic physicians. And it was very interesting that it was widely used. Manasamitra Vadagam is very widely used. Anyone who is in the field of Ayurveda knows about Manasamitra Vadagam, and for any psychiatric problem, you just prescribe Manasamitra Vadagam and escape. But of course, Manasamitra has a specific indication, and that should be used only in that area. But in a cross-sectional study, we found that the Ayurvedic physicians are using Manasamitra Vadagam for many other purposes, not only for Manasaroga, but in different types of areas. And usually it was used widely in many psychosomatic conditions, and even not only psychosomatic conditions, even some physical problems also. They were considering, every physician were considering Manasamitra Vadagam in their own perspective. And actually we started the study to explore the possibilities of Manasamitra Vadagam in specific areas of Manasaroga. But later on we found that many physicians are utilizing it for different psychosomatic disorders and even for somatic issues. So that was a very interesting study, and some of the scholars must really go for some cross-sectional studies, and don't misunderstand that going for a survey is a bad way of bad way of study in PG research. That we should always stick on to a safety and efficacy. There is nothing like that. You should go for such studies, exploratory studies. This is another important study. We have conducted about substance abuse, there are very less observations in the Ayurvedic field. So Vijayakalpam is one particular chapter of a text. Anandakandam was a text, and the particular area was Vijayakalpam. See, we have reference about the cannabis abuse and so many other things like withdrawal symptoms and advice and what are the treatment modality should be given, and so many important observations was available in this particular text, Anandakandam, and a particular portion was Vijayakalpam, that was especially describing about cannabis abuse. So this was studied by Dr. Santosh. It was a very interesting study. Now he is working in NIMHANS. He is part of the Ayurvedic being in the NIMHANS. And this is body-mind relationship principles. Shariram hi abhi sattvam anuvithiyate. This was a very popular quotation, but we never explore it. So we tried some as a literary research. We tried on this changes in physical characters, facial features, etc. And we had to conduct some research on asthma. There is, that there is a relation of mind and asthma also, the causation and the treatment and everything. So conducting an research on asthma is also a study related to psychology or psychiatry. So there you should undertake some somatic issues also, which are really connected with back pain, headache, asthma, and so many other areas which are connected with mind. Because it is nothing but, both are related, mind and body are related. Taptajya khadayoriva. That is a very popular. When the hot honey or hot ghee is poured in the pot also gets heated. So it is both. It is interrelated, body and mind interrelated. So such basic concepts should be explored. So let me conclude by saying that there are we had conducted extensive researches in various areas. Now we have good data which can be present before the scientific world in the field of schizophrenia, depressive disorders, alcoholism, epilepsy, different areas in child psychiatry like autism spectrum disorders, scholastic disorders, speech disorder, language problems, different areas, and including sexual dysfunction. We have conducted different areas. So there is no time to go through all these studies, but now we have through these years, we have compiled a lot of data. I think that is very important data because we have enough data which can be present before the scientific world now. This is very important because we have a lot of practices. We have as Mandu Kaparni, we have Shankupushpi, we have Brahmi Krita, we have so many different types of medications, single drugs and combinations, and established medications in the field of Ayurveda. But we have to understand the specific use of it. There are indications mentioned. Indication is nothing but the practical tips, because in earlier days this was used in that particular condition. So indication is very useful. It is nothing but a practical tip. But at the same time, we have to explore the possibility of other areas also, and that is what we have tried to do in the past. That we have accumulated a lot of data in especially those areas. These are only some of the areas, and we have done a lot of work on autism. And Unmada and Avasmara was only area we started with, but later on we had different areas, and we have now enough data to present before the scientific world. So that is all I want to add here. This is based on our experience. Some of the research areas, which I hope will definitely inspire some of the scholars who are listening this program. Thank you. So to conclude, please note these points. That in the beginning itself, I was telling you that you should try to undertake different types of research areas, not just safety and efficacy. So there must be, as Prasad sir is elaborating, there is a scope for interdisciplinary researches and literary researchers, observational research, cross-sectional studies, tool development and validation, protocol developments, all are good designs. So try to concentrate on that. With this, I conclude. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's very interesting to know that the volume of work which has been done in your center. There are a few questions that has been asked by the delegates. The first one is philosophical aspects of Dharaniya Vegas. Can you elaborate on the philosophical aspects of Dharaniya Vegas?
Um, we have not conducted such research on philosophical aspects of Dharaniya Vega, but I think that definitely we can explore that area, because Dharaniya Vegas are very important in day-to-day life, and by which you get it has got some its own physiological implications, and also which leads to pathological. So that area has to be explored, and we have less experience in that area.
Sir, can you elaborate on Ayurveda Jyotisha in diagnosing and treating a disease? Ayurveda Jyotisha.
I think Jyotisha is only one. There is nothing like Ayurveda Jyotisha, I believe. Jyotisha is all about stars and positions of star and influence in human mind. And that is definitely, we know that the position of the star really influence on human body and mind. And we always think about the predictions, and it is not about the predictions, it is about the influence. The Jyotisha, what we generally see is about the predictions, and sometimes it goes wrong. And that is another one part of Jyotisha. Forget about that part. You try to concentrate only the influence of the position of stars on human mind. That is there, that we believe in that, and that is what I quoted a study by Dr. Parvati Devi, and especially on Sattva, and we found that, and the Avara Sattva and the incidence of disease and the management and everything was influenced, and we compared with the astrology, his astrological the position of the star, and it was very interesting. It was correlating. So definitely that is an area which should be explored, but I don't know. There is something I'm not very much familiar with Ayur Jyotisha, but the Jyotisha is a contemporary. In those days, it was existing all the Vedas, all the such different types of astrology, astronomy, and Ayurveda, and everything was coincident. It was all contributing each other. So I think definitely we should concentrate on that area.
Sir, how to assess Nidra and different types of Swapna according to dosha and prakriti, considering the present scenario?
No, we should develop the scales. We can have Ayurvedic scales. We should develop tools to do that. We are trying to do that. We have done in the past. So apply the tools. That's all. Because it is nothing but that's what I initially told, that not only your dreams or sleep, it is a question about most of the symptoms are subjective. So we have some scales for everything in Ayurveda, in modern medicine, but in Ayurveda we don't have. So all these things can be assessed only by developing our own scale. We have developed the scales in different areas. We are on that process of doing it in many other areas.
Sir, can you give an example for conceptual idea in Manasaroga research?
Conceptual.
Yes, sir.
Conceptual, see, we can start thinking about Sattva Vijaya. Maybe one of the scholars might have asked this question. The scholar may concentrate on Sattva Vijaya. What is Sattva Vijaya? No one knows. Even the concentrate on mind, the topic mind. What is mind? It's a conceptual one. Nobody knows what is mind. The whole world is searching. And even if we are talking about psychology, psychiatry, but no one knows about mind. So start thinking about mind. What is mind? See, somebody say that it is Sukshma, somebody say it is Vibhu, somebody say it travels with Sukshma Sharira to other body. Now you close your eyes and you can imagine, and you can go to Sabrimala, you can go to Guruvayur, you can go to Kanchipuram, you can go to Mugambige, you can think about something else. What is this? What is this whole thing? What happens to mind after death? So there are so many other areas like what is mind. So conceptually, there are every topic in every word in Manasaroga is a conceptual, is a problem, is a question, is a question for research question, I think.
So what are the research topics can be selected in COVID-19, considering the Manasaroga, sir?
COVID-19, our experience is especially in we tried some techniques in quarantine, because the COVID is now directly is affecting the mind, but the whole overall the patient is my place is now under a triple lockdown. We are not able to go out, so everyone is sitting home, everyone is alone. So people are facing lot of problems, different types of problem, depression, anxiety, and it is connected to finance, it is relationships, mutual relationships. So we started a counseling unit And we had a project in Kerala called Kude. We published a number, common phone number, which they can call us, call any patient can call. Even from the Gulf countries, we had hundreds of calls asking some mental health. I think one area in COVID can be the problems what the COVID patients are, psychological problems that patients are facing today, and some psychological issues, minor psychological issues. Some are major, even it leads to suicide. So that is a very elaborate area. I think we have succeeded some of the trials what we have conducted. We have tried to give support to them. From the college or the postgraduates, we were divided in groups. We had 24 hours we attended. For the calls from all over India, all over, we attended calls. But interestingly, we got more calls from here. Maybe we are located in Malappuram district, and many people are settled in Gulf countries. So we have 100 calls from people from Malappuram district who are settled in Gulf. They were asking for mental support. So I think in COVID, that is an important area where I think Ayurvedic Manasaroga practitioners can concentrate.
Sir, can you elaborate the role of money mantra in treating mental illness?
See, it's all some indirect effect. Money mantra is all Devabhasraya Chikitsa as a whole should be studied. Mantra definitely has a sequence, because the mantra is set in a particular frequency. So mantra has its own effect. And regarding money and other things, it has less studies has been conducted. You can think of those studies. Anyway, Devabhasraya is a one area, including Gamana. Gamana means nothing but going for a pilgrimage. Even you will also personally feel when you are stressed, when you are under stress, severe stress, go out and go to a different situation, and or in olden days it was something like pilgrimage. So the whole situation is changing. The people you see, the surroundings, and everything is changing, including food. So that Gamana is nothing but change of atmosphere. So that definitely has to influence the mind. So I think every component in the Devabhasraya Chikitsa has got importance, and each separately has to be explored. And mantra definitely has a direct role. There is no doubt.
Some diseases has got the Purva Krita Papa as one of the etiology. How to treat them, sir?
And that is not we cannot. That is only one part of the science. Basically, Ayurveda concentrated on Nityavabhasraya. So there, of course, we have Nityavabhasraya, Sattva-Vijaya, and the Devabhasraya Chikitsa. Though it was prevalent in those days. But nowadays we are more concentrating on Nityavabhasraya. At the same time, we cannot neglect that Devabhasraya. Sattva-Vijaya is nothing but we have now developed, and it is very useful in there's counseling techniques and other things. Nothing but the modified form of Sattva-Vijaya treatment. I'm not basically I don't practice much in Devabhasraya Chikitsa, but at the same time I don't say that Devabhasraya is rubbish. There is nothing like that. There are many principles behind Devabhasraya Chikitsa. So I have less experience in that. Purva Janma Grida, it's a concept, maybe it's a reflection of those days. In the contemporary science, the Ayurveda have got influence of many different sciences in those existed in those days, because we are talking now in this century, but this was existing. The whole thing was existing in so many years before. So this whole situation was different, even before Mughals or even the British rule, and even before that, hundreds years before this was existed. So we can see the lot of reflection of those things in the Ayurveda. In those days it was thoroughly practiced. So I will not say that it's all rubbish, but only thing is only in some of the areas I have some experience. Otherwise, in Purva Janma Grida, especially when skin diseases or in psychiatric problems, sometimes we are forced to think, okay, why it happens to us? Maybe it is because of Purva Janma Grida. So that is only an it is all not a very scientific observation. I don't have such scientific observation in that area. I'm sorry.
Last question, sir. Have you any experience of treating a mental illness with the help of a technique like hypnosis?
Hypnosis, yes. We not personally, I am not doing it, but in the department we are conducting a lot of work on that. Not much research work, dissertation, but in practice we have. Every year we give training to the postgraduate scholars. We have some 3 days or 5 days or 1 week program. We have regular guest lectures in that area. We give training in hypnosis, and of course in other areas also, like counseling, family counseling and other things. And also we have in child psychiatry, we have a separate wing integrating all the modern techniques. All different professionals we are conducting. We have a unit called SimCD, in which we have a daycare center from morning to evening. We get people from continuously for especially differentially able children as an integrative therapy. So yes, we integrate hypnotherapy in practice, especially in children and also in adult. And our postgraduates are trained in the principles of hypnotherapy and similar areas, modern techniques.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now I'll invite Dr. Suhas Kumar Shetty, the Professor in Head Department of Manasaroga, STM College of Ayurveda, for his remarks.
Good evening, everybody. Most respected Dr. Jayadevan sir, the speaker of today's session, and all the faculty members and delegates. At the outset, on behalf of the organizing committee, I thank Jayadevan sir for comprehensively covering a topic on research areas in Mano, Vijnana&Manasaroga. As rightly said by Jayadevan sir, that we have to go beyond one drug, one disease concept and try to focus on other fundamental areas of Manovijnana as well as Manasaroga. And for which I think the Postgraduate Institute at Kottakkal has done tremendous work. We always used to discuss that probably one of the best post-graduation institute in terms of doing the research is Kottakkal, because of the profoundness or the methodology that they adopt and the area that they select. So we really appreciate the whole team at Kottakkal for this wonderful initiatives. And as rightly mentioned by Jayadevan sir, like there are some very, very interesting areas in case of Manasaroga. Especially, I think we should focus on the fundamental or the literary research, especially developing some of the questionnaires or the diagnostic tools, which we have been taking at present. At present, we have 3-4 PhD students under me who are doing on the developing the protocols on various diagnostic tools. So one of the studies is developing a assessment tool for Manasika Prakriti. We are at present doing a PhD study. We're also doing a study on the diagnosis of Nija and Aganstu Unmada, the diagnostic study on how to diagnose patients of Nija and Aganstu Unmada. We're also doing an Ayurvedic depression tool for the diagnosis of depression. We are also developing an Ayurvedic Madatya tool, or how to diagnose basic understanding of, with all the basic principles of Ayurveda. And also there's one PhD student under me who is developing a Sattvajaya protocol for exam stress management. So I think these are the very interesting areas where one can definitely do this. And at present, I think because of this COVID situation, we can also think of online surveys. At present, we are doing 3 online surveys on different aspects of exam stress. Also the perception of the mental stress among the people who are suffering with COVID positive. Also doing the survey on the immunomodulatory or the immune booster that people are using among the common public. So these are the, again, very interesting areas that one can think of. We also did a survey on the alcohol drinking behavior in Hassan district, like why people drink alcohol. So like what is the perception of people who are taking, why people want to take Ayurvedic treatment for Madatya. So this was again one of the studies which at present we are doing this study, why people prefer Ayurveda for Madatya treatment. So I think these are some of the very interesting areas where we can really work on, apart from the various stress-related psychosomatic disorders. So during COVID, we also did a study on the assessment of the stress, anxiety, and depression using a scale called as DAS scale, depression, anxiety, stress scale, among a large population, like 1,672 population of the people who are not COVID positive, but COVID negative patients, and their perception about how they're feeling about the depression, anxiety during COVID. So I think these are some of the very useful and interesting areas that they can do. So once again, on behalf of the organizing committee, I wholeheartedly thank Dr. C V Jayadevan sir, who has always been guiding us, inspiring us, motivating us in the tenure related with Manasaroga. So we strongly believe that this whole concept of this seminar was started with a concept called service and learning not stop during COVID. So I think we are rightly, because at present we are also running the COVID care center. So where our staffs are also doing the services in the COVID care center, and other staffs are involved in this academic learning. So with this intention, we have been organizing this program, and we have more than 1,300 delegates who have registered for this. And we thank each one of them. And I'm sure this tenure and this venture initiative, which has been initiated by Rajiv Gandhi University and SDM, will be very fruitful. So once again, thank you, sir. Thank you very, very much for your valuable guidance.
Thank you, Dr. Sudha.
Thank you, sir. We wholeheartedly thank you on behalf of university and our institution. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Delegates, please note that tomorrow the sessions begin 10 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow we have 5 sessions. We shall begin with the session on Panchakarma research areas by Dr. Anand Ram Sharma, followed by 11 to 12 o'clock by Dr. Dinesh KS. He will be speaking on research areas in Kaumara Vritya, and followed by 12 to 1 by Dr. KS Diman, who will be speaking on research areas related to the Shalakyatantra. And afternoon we have 2 sessions. Between 2 to 3, Dr. Manoranjan Sahu sir is going to speak on the research areas related to Shalyatantra. And between 3 to 4, Dr. Mamata KV will be speaking on research areas related to the Prasuti Tantra and Sri Roga. So delegates, please join at 10 o'clock in the morning. Till that, take care. Thank you.